Hello, hello, hello. Those in the
Hello.
stream. Can you guys hear us? Just do a quick check. Everything's all good. Should be good to go. Okay.
Not sure. I think we'll have to double check. Charlie, can you
Yes.
say something so we can check?
Hello. Hello. I believe we are live.
Okay, I'm listening on my
Let's
phone
see.
right now. Let's see, should be good. I can hear myself, I can hear.
Perfect.
Yep, I think we are good. We're good to go. All right, what's up, everyone? I'm your Thinking Cap Benji, and today on Peer Pressure, we're going to be looking at a few rotation pairs, some teams that rotate really well, some teams you need to know of heading into FPL game launch, which is a few weeks away. And we're also going to be pricing over 50 plus players today on today's episode. And I'm joined by always my co-host Kanji FPL. What's up, bro?
How are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm good. And we have a very, very, very special guest on today's episode. He is a Liverpool fan, unfortunately, but he also runs one of the most successful Twitter accounts, FPL Twitter accounts. He does great predicted lineups during the season, great zonal analysis, goal scoring trends, stuff like that. He also finished inside the top 30K, so he is an elite manager. It's FPL Meerkat. How are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing good. Sort of melting in the sun a little bit, but feeling good. Feeling good to be on the channel and looking forward to getting stuck in with all the new stuff in the season.
Yeah, I did put his link to his Twitter in the video description, guys, so make sure you follow him. Kanji's one is there as well. These guys, you need to be following them ahead of the season because they got some crucial stuff that you need to be checking out. I think Meerkat's, I really like Meerkat's, his zonal stuff when he posts that every week. Always look at that. Don't know if you're the same, Kanj.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I love Meerkat. I like Benji as well. So, got like three of my favorite accounts on FPL Twitter.
All right, so what do you guys want to start with? You want to start with rotation pairs? You want to start with prices?
Why don't we ask Meerkat?
Meerkat, you get to choose.
Uh, let's do let's do rotation pairings.
Okay, good choice. All right, so I've got 4 rotation pairs up here. The first one we've got Villa with Newcastle. So the reason I've gone to game week 12 is because obviously me and Kanji have discussed that game week 13 is looking like a very template wildcard week. So that's why I built it towards that. If you want to use it for a shorter period, it still rotates well. Villa Newcastle, you're getting 7 out of 12 home fixtures, 6 out of 12 promoted sides in those as well. The Tottenham Fulham one, that is basically more of a goalkeeper rotation because I saw a few people were asking me. 10 out of 12 home fixtures, 4 out of 12 promoted sides. Wolves Everton, 8 out of 12 home fixtures, 5 promoted sides in there. And then finally we have Forest Arsenal, 10 out of 12 home fixtures, 5 promoted sides in there as well. Anything stand out to you here, Conch?
Yeah, first thing is going to be that defender rotation for Forest. Moving on to an Arsenal defender, I think that will be really key in terms of just like a meta move.
Yeah.
Because everyone loves Arsenal defense. I mean, they've been one of the best defenses. So I think starting with the force defender, making that transfer in game week 7 will be a template move. The
Mm.
question is like, will you do it for one? Will you do it for a goalie, maybe for an extra defender? Also, for the Wolves Everton rotation, I think that would be more of like a NDI Strand Larson type of rotation, I would think. I mean, obviously it's all price dependent, but I think as your 7th and 8th attacker, that could work pretty well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm definitely eyeing up that Villa West Ham rotation. That looks really good because I definitely think Villa have got some of the best opening fixtures, and it's nice that seeing there you'd play the Villa defender 5 in the first 7, and it is just rotating them out for those slightly tougher ones. Yet you get a bit of a difficult one with game week 10, but I mean 9 game weeks solid having a good fixture is really really nice, and yeah, I think you can back. I think Villa's defense is pretty solid. West Ham's defense is
Mm.
okay, and you just get them for the nice fixtures, and they're both should be relatively cheap as well.
Yeah,
Right, so that's
100%.
sorry, could you break that down as like a 4.5 defender rotation? Like how many promoted sides are there in the first rotation pair?
In the first one, there are 6, and 2 of them are
6.
Sunderland. For me, Sunderland are the best fixture right now.
Wow. That looks like
Right.
a really strong 4.5 defender rotation. I mean, Wan-Bissaka already has a really good link up play with Jared Bowen, and then you've got Konza, who was 4.5 last year, and he was really good for value. Villa kept a lot of clean sheets at the end of the season. We saw they were like scoring one or two and then sitting back and controlling games. So that could be really interesting.
Yeah.
If there's 6, that means they must play all 3 of the promoted sides twice
Yeah.
in the first 12, which
Yeah.
is really good.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
excellent. I think that one is really great. Spurs Fulham, like I said, that was because we had a few people asking about, like, you know, if there's a good goalkeeper rotation. I know a few people out there actually like rotating goalies. Personally, I don't. I just like to stick with one and kind of, you know, go with that. I know Meerkat, you're of that same belief as well, right?
Well, yeah, so there's some FPL tools you can use online which tell you what like your best performing players over the season. And for the last 3 seasons in a row, I don't think I've had a goalkeeper get above 50 points. Apart from the
Wow.
one season with Raya, I've just had a terrible time with goalkeepers. So honestly, I think this
Wow.
this season that yeah, I'll just buy a goalkeeper and stick by them because I just kept rotating them out for the unexpected hauls. Like we do like to play fixtures, but you will occasionally. I mean, you look at Pickford last season; he got some hauls when you didn't expect him to. I think he got one against like Newcastle twice and Chelsea, like just ones you don't expect that you would rotate them out if you look at the pairings. But actually, I could just save myself a lot of time. Just pick a good goalkeeper and stick by him.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think Kanji has mentioned that he's very interested in Vicario's price. I know we actually haven't done any goalkeeper prices just because they're a bit It's not really the best time investment for me, but I think if Vicario does come at 4.5, he'll be interesting, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like again, when it comes to goalkeepers, you want the save points, the clean sheet points, and then the bonus. They're different than defenders, so like you're willing to go for like a defensive team that isn't as strong if you have the goalie, because that still would just give them points. And as we mentioned in earlier pod, it's just Thomas Frank's system is just very well suited for conceding, just low XG chances. That means he'll be farming saves. So yeah, I think given how good the Spurs fixtures are to start the season, that could be a really strong keeper rotation. But again, are you sure you want to spend 5.0 on your keeper spot? That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Well, I was going to ask about Forest Arsenal here because like that rotation looks amazing. Like the amount of difficult fixtures you avoid by pairing those two up is great. However, if are you really buying an Arsenal asset to have as a rotation pairing?
No, you're not. You want to play
No,
them
you're
most
you're
weeks.
you're sort of just setting up a game week 7 transfer. Like essentially you would start off with Forest 1 to 6. You would include the Arsenal game and then switch in 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Hmm.
second that for sure.
Can I ask
100%.
about the fixture difficulty here as well? Because there's some. Is this weighted in a certain way or?
Yeah, this is my waiting. So basically, the only strong green I have on here right now is Sunderland. Then obviously we have the light green, which is targetable fixture, but not the A star. And then the light red is a difficult fixture, and then the dark red is basically a tough fixture. So that's basically City, Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool away from home. Those are the dark reds, and it's weighted based on team strength as well. So, for instance, if you look at Arsenal, I do have United away as a light red, just because I'm. If you go based off last season's expected data and how they performed, that would be a white fixture, right? Just gray. But I do expect United to improve. I think we will improve, and I don't think it's an easy fixture to start off as well. I'm just basically factoring in where I'm expecting the team to do. I'm not sure if Meerkat agrees. He looks really mad.
No, no, yeah. I'm just interested. I'm just looking at the difference, like just thinking about my one and what the differences are for this. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, so away at Newcastle is one of the toughest fixtures. I mean, yeah, we see Newcastle, right? Their home form has been ridiculous, and you wouldn't really back many of your players. Maybe like a Salah, but outside of that, you probably wouldn't back your players against them. Definitely agree about Sunderland. I think they are definitively the weaker of the ones going up. Um, and yeah, interesting looking at some of the
It's interesting to see the
pairings.
first 4.5 rotation pair. Like whenever I was building my first draft, like I've actually built my first draft on FPL team. And I went with Colwill as just like a good 4.5 defender. But looking at the Villa West Ham one, that looks elite. Especially if you want to save your
Mm.
wall card. You're in a very strong position. Without spending a transfer, you're getting 6 newly promoted sides. That's unreal.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not. I agree though with Meerkat's point. At least for the bottom one, if for an Arsenal defender for me, they're going to be so expensive that why would I rotate them? I just buy them for the good fixtures. You know what I mean? It's not worth having them on the bench. Too much money to spend. And if you look at the title of the video, and that's probably a good segue into our price predictions. The title of the video is The Great Inflation, and that is what I personally am expecting to happen next season. Not only do we have a lot of the premiums rising in price, we have the main man Mo Salah, 340 points. All three of us have priced him at 15 million, which is a lot of money. Any comments, boys?
What do you think, Charlie?
So yeah, this is what we think we should. The player should be. I wouldn't be surprised if FPL do price him at cheaper, given they tend to price the midfielders cheaper than the forwards for whatever reason. We all know at this point the midfielders are far better than strikers. But yeah, I mean, coming off the back of his best season ever, consistently brilliant in terms of the amount of points he gets, you just know exactly what you expect from Mo Salah, and he'll be very, very likely do it again. So yeah, he has to come in at the most expensive player in the game. How expensive that is, we will wait and see. But I think 50 million. I mean, he should be. He should be 50
He
million.
deserves it.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to get more points this year in general. I
There's no
mean,
chance.
he had, I think, 10 penalties last year. I mean, he also will be missing a few games because of AFCON, and he stayed fit pretty much all season last year. So he's likely, just like in terms of total points, just going to regress. But I still think his price should increase because he is the best player, plays every single minute for one of the best attacks in the league on pens. Like, he's the king.
I'm surprised you guys have undershot a little bit for Haaland. 13.5. I mean, that's a 1.5 million drop. That's a lot of cash. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's really, well, he's clearly not done enough to justify being 15 million again. I think that was I mean, we were all surprised when he got priced that last season. I liked it because it meant that you had to make some really tough calls about what you want to do with your team. But yeah, I think 13.5, I think we all know what Haaland's capable of. I think that's a substantial amount below Salah, and I think that kind of is the way it should be. Again, I just think the midfielders are so much better in this game than the forwards are. And yeah, it's still high enough that it's a tough decision to make, but yeah, noticeably below what Salah is.
Interesting. I look.
Y-
The only
mhm.
reason I have Haaland at 14 is because I'd give him the mill drop. I still think that's a substantial amount. But also I don't want him too cheap. Like 13.5 is probably the minimum I would go. Any lower than that, the gap is too big from Mo to Haaland. It's too big, especially in an AFCON year. But if you look at the BPS changes, compare Haaland in 2 seasons ago BPS versus what they did last season, he's actually one of the biggest beneficiaries. And that's why I was also thinking they probably factor that into his price. So in a good year, what could he do with all of the changes? And that's why I would keep him at 14 because I do think he has value.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, when it comes down to Holland and Salah, you're not getting them for value, you're getting them for captaincy points, right? So if they have the best standout fixture in that week, you're going to be going there regardless of the price, really, if you want optimal captaincy. And yeah, I just don't think he deserves like 14. I honestly think he deserves a fall off. Like, I think it wouldn't surprise me if he came closer to like 12 and a half. It wouldn't surprise me. It's just Man City were so bad last year. Like, they genuinely were. Without Rodri, they just weren't at the same level. I think they lost like 5 or 6 games in a row in the Prem at some point last season. So he should come down in price. But like, predicting and forecasting the future with Rodri back in the team, as long as he stays fit, Holland will definitely be a very good pick. And if they keep him below like 13 or 12 and a half, I will avoid Salah 100% and just go Holland the whole season. So let's see how they price it. I'm curious to see what the pricing is, but as you mentioned, it's all relative to Mo. So like a 2 mil gap means I'm going with El Salah for sure. 1.5, I mean, it's very open for debate at that price.
Yep. And by the way, guys who are listening, these prices are basically what we value these assets as. They're not necessarily what we think FPL are going to price them as. So basically, when the game's launched, you'll already have the information, digest this from this video, and say immediately if Salah comes in at 14, you'll know, oh, that's great value, right? Same thing with Haaland. If he comes in too expensive, you'll know, hey, that's bad value. So this is why it's very helpful to look at these things And if we move into the mids, I see Meerkat, you've given Saka a little increase, 0.5, and you're keeping Palmer at the same price. Why is that?
Yeah, to be honest, I've probably done Palmer a good service there. I think Palmer could be quite a bit lower. But yeah, I think Saka, it's difficult to quantify because he was injured for so much of the season. I think he still looked good, and I think we expect him to still be good. So it was difficult to sort of know what to do with his price. But right now, without any signings at Arsenal, especially in attack, he's still going to be the main guy. I think he does deserve to be at that just like 10.5, 11, 10, like somewhere around that price range. And Palmer, I think, well, to be honest, I think I've probably gone too high on him because as we've seen for quite some time now, there are just better players in the Chelsea team for considerably cheaper than what Palmer is. I don't know what's happened in terms of that talismanic figure that we saw at the beginning of last season, but it's completely gone. Like he's really not, it doesn't have anywhere near the same level of output. We know he can have it, so that's why I feel like you've got to price him that high in terms of his explosiveness on the pitch. We all know he can do it. It's just I don't know. I don't know what's happened to him really.
Yeah, it's very direct and to the point from Charlie. But yeah, I think Palmer started the season at 10.5 last year and Saka was at 10. I think going into this season, if we were going to be realistic, I think Saka should be zero point 0.5 more than Palmer. But I think they should basically both be at 10. I don't think they should be going up much. Like I'm very happy for to honestly like this is the thing, right? Palmer has a really weird case, right? Because he was playing with Jackson last year, who's not a good finisher. He was playing like Neto and Madueke, who are horrendous for finishers in terms of like their goals minus XG. And now they're going to be bringing in Esteval on one of the wings. They bring in Gittins on the other wing. Um, and then they've signed Delap. So you're signing like three better finishers than the finishers he was playing with. And Palmer is one of the best chance creators. I think he was like top two or top three. And I think he only had 8 assists, where I think he should have had like an expected assist of like 11 or 12. I know Meerkat hates like XA, but I think it makes sense for Palmer to just like kind of come down in price, I think, given how poor he was to end the season. But he'll be one of the best differentials, I think.
Yeah. Look, my thing on Palmer is I'm just gonna say in terms of player performance, he is young, he has time to develop, but I look at him if you're playing in the 10, you cannot be as one-dimensional, one-footed as he is. If you watch him, watch the touches he takes, he barely uses his right foot. It cuts down his angles. Genuinely, it does. So I think that's a big issue for him that he needs to work on. But I would still price him at 10, 10.5. That's fine. There is also a case where you price Salah Haaland down a bit, you push Palmer Saka up a bit, and that way the premium still will be taking a lot of your budget, right? Like, for instance, if you go Saka
Mm.
Palmer 11, Salah maybe 14, Haaland 13, something like that. So you would still get that kind of gap.
Mm.
But that is definitely possible. And then we move on to my boy Ollie Watkins, who I am very, very hot on heading into next season. Kanji, 8.5, yeah? Look at Meerkat's face, bro.
Listen,
Look at his face.
like these forwards are just cracked. Like as soon as they get a goal, even if they're coming off the bench, they're picking up the bonus. Like the system is ridiculous for them. That's why I think Holland will still be a good pick next year. But Watkins, is he going to be on penalties? Like, what do you think? I don't know.
Well, look, the quote from Unai Emery last season was, our first choice penalty taker is Marcus Rashford. He's gone. Our second choice penalty taker is Marcus Asensio. He's gone. Our third choice penalty takers are Ollie Watkins, Yuri Tielemans, and John McGinn. So if you look at it like that, Ollie Watkins will most likely be taking pens for Aston Villa next season. And that's how I like to look at it, and that's how I've priced him. That's why he's at 9.5. And genuinely, if he comes in 9.5,
Mm.
9.0, if he's below 9.0 with those opening fixtures, I think he's an absolute lock in my team. It's looking very good for Watkins. What do you think, Meerkat?
I think 8.5 is, I mean, it's an absolute steal if he comes in at that price. I mean, that's a price fall, I think, despite like having an incredibly good season.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any chance. I mean, looking at that, I'm sorry, Kanji, but Watkins coming at the same price as Son, I don't see it. I don't see it
Yeah.
at all. In terms of penalties, I I don't know. I've just never really been filled with confidence at Watkins with penalties. I think I'd much rather a Tielemans taking the penalties if I was a Villa fan. But yeah, I mean, I've already said like I like penalty takers as much as the next guy, but I think we all overvalue them just a little bit. But yeah, I think 9.5. I don't think he's quite at a 10, but yeah, I think he deserves a price increase
I
from.
agree.
Was he 9 million?
What was the pricing of Isak and Watkins last season?
8.5 ESOP.
Watkins was 9 and Isak was 8.5.
All
Look,
right.
this
So
is
I think things have kind of if we're kind of looking at a bird's eye view, right? Things have kind of normalized in a sense. Salah was better than Holland because he's a mid and he's on pens. So now he's actually going to be going from below Holland to above Holland. And the same with Isak versus Watkins. Isak, last season, we realized he was like the main man for Newcastle, almost playing like 80 plus minutes a game on pens, whereas Watkins isn't. So now it's like normality has resumed there as well, where now Isak will be priced higher than Watkins, right?
yeah. Well,
I,
what?
I I have to ask. I have to ask Benji. You've put Isak higher than Saka and Palmer.
Yeah. Well, he had his best, arguably his best year last year. I don't see them putting him lower. And also to mention that Newcastle will strengthen. I think he deserves 10.5. Um, but yeah, just on Watkins, we had a comment from FPL Cayman. Watkins taking a pen is a negative for Watkins. Well, let me just tell you something. He scored 2 from 2 in the Premier League from the penalty spot. Yuri Tielemans 0 from 1. Not to mention, I keep saying this, the penalty he missed was in the Champions League. He slipped on that spot, but he did change his run up. He has a new style of run up. If you watch his pens from last season where he has the little stutter step, I like that addition. And I do think that he's in line to take the pens. I don't think it's a bad thing. And I think that's something you can work on as a player. But yeah, in terms of Isak, 10.5 I think is fair. I actually like Kanji's price on it, 10 mil. I think it does situate quite well. It puts him exactly the same as what he's priced Palmer and Saka, right, Kanj?
Yeah, I kind of look at Isak where most people look at Palmer as like the premium that's on Fraud Watch. I look at Isak as the premium that's probably on Fraud Watch. I expect him to have just more risk of like reduced minutes, more injury risk. He's always injury prone, anyways. I don't think he'll even come close to the amount of points he got this season just because of like X minutes risk. So I'm weary of overpricing him to the point where I wouldn't want to go there, especially when I've looked at their fixtures and like their best fixtures come during like the November, December, January crunch where there's so much fixture congestion, and I know he'll have reduced minutes. So yeah, I'm just wary to overprice him and then make him a non-option, at least for me. That's why I've kept him at 10. And honestly, I'll be completely honest, I went to Isak. He was basically my number one differential, like on FPL optimized. He was the player that was like my hero of last season. I owned him pretty much the whole season, and he delivered big time. So we can't underprice him, but I think 10 is fair.
Hmm. And just, do you agree with that, Meerkat?
Yeah, yeah. I think I agree with that evaluation. It's yeah. I think he deserves about that.
Okay, let's move on to the City boys. Now, I've put Marmoush in here just because obviously we've seen him take a pen for Man City, even though it got saved. Big up Dean Henderson, former United Academy player. Anyways, Foden, I'm the only one who has him at 9 million. You guys have gone him 8 million.
Mm.
You guys want a game breaker, don't you?
I don't understand where 9 millions come from.
Look, I understand he's had a poor year, but we all know what Foden's capable of, though.
Okay, right. I'm trying to work out how you've weighted these because Isak you've weighted on the fact that he had an incredible season last season, but you've kept Foden the same because he's a good player, not because of his last
But
season.
Foden was 9.5. I've dropped him one. 0.5.
Okay, you dropped him a little bit.
I just think 8 mils too low. That is very, very low. Maybe 8.5 I would go. Okay, I think in the middle of where we've gone is probably the right range, 8.5 in terms of the value. At 8 million, if Foden comes in at 8 million, he's going to be very popular. Don't you think, boys?
Yeah, 100%. I think with Man City in general, apart from Holland, there's rotation risk for every player in that team. So in order for them to be a good FPL pick, they need to be slightly underpriced, where it looks like, oh my God, this is too cheap to ignore. Otherwise, you're buying into a player that has, of course, one of the highest ceilings in the league, but there's a risk he just doesn't start the next match. And they also will be playing in the Prem and the Champions League, multiple comps. Now, I do have to say, there's a big hole where Kevin De Bruyne has left. He's like the main playmaker for Man City historically, a type of player that could get you like 20 assists in a season. and Foden had a down year, right? After coming off his best season ever, where he was the Premier League player of the season the year before, right? So 8.0 is probably a little bit harsh, but it's just my expectations are low. I don't know what to expect from him. He had issues like with injuries, like family issues, like mental crisis, all this stuff last year. So hopefully he can just get it out of the way and come into the next season with like a fresh slate. We've just seen him score, I think, in the Club World Cup, a little tap in from Savino. So hopefully the preseason tournament gets his confidence up, but I think 8 is fair. Like I'd rather go for tried and trusted players like Watkins or Bruno Fernandez, where I know I'll be getting either pens or nailed minutes with them instead of him.
Hmm. Came and said in the chat, 8 million for a rotation risk asset who isn't on pens is a lot, and I agree. That's why the higher he is, the better for me. Just avoid him. But and let's move to Marmouche. We've all gone for 8 million, and that is a good sign. I do think 8 million's right, considering he's in line for some set piece share, some pen share. He's gonna be playing 9. We've seen it in the Club World Cup. Haaland sub has been Marmouche, right, Meerkat?
Yeah, and yeah, I think unfortunately we're not going to see Marmoush reclassified as a midfielder. He's played too many minutes as a striker for it to. He'll stay as a forward, still at that price. He's essentially just the Alvarez replacement, right? That's exactly. We should just treat Marmoush how we treated Alvarez, where you can occasionally get him in sometimes, but he's the kind of player that when Haaland's out, he is an absolute lock in the team. So he needs to be at that awkward price position where he's not too cheap, but at that price, I can't imagine many people will go there.
100%. I think maybe if a
Yeah.
Haaland's injured, right, Kanji? Like maybe in that situation. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking where it's like there is a fixed run, I don't know if you have their premium matrix slide here or not, but there's a fixed run from like 13 to 20 where like Man City have insane fixtures, and we could consider the likes of Foden or Marmoush at that time. Other than that, I am steering well clear of these guys. Like that can be somebody else's differential, not for me.
100%. And finally, we'll just touch on Son. I mean, we've put him in here. Me and Kanji are expecting him to depart Tottenham this season after the Asian preseason tour. But you guys have gone 8 and 8.5. I've gone 9 just because you know how Son is. Everybody thinks he's down and out. He's had a down year. Then he comes back and he smashes it. I don't want a game breaker. I want someone who's still valued with Tottenham penalties to be pretty expensive. But I understand that's a bit, how do you say? I've priced some players based off last year's performance, but also some players off basically what they offer, what they could offer. And I think that's what I've done with Son. Just because I don't want a game breaker. I don't want a game breaker. We're gonna move into. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead before we go.
I was just going to say, I think with Foden, I've sort of stuck my neck out a bit in terms of because I think it's very possible he just comes back into the City side. He plays a lot of minutes. He's just really good again. So yeah, I could see his price being more expensive. With Son, I'm a lot more confident with that because Son's the kind of player that just excelled with counter attacks, with pace, with explosiveness. And I think last year, I think we just saw that like his style of play, it just does not work anymore now that he's at this age. So I think his poor form was based on that, and I don't see him miraculously becoming a lot more faster all of a sudden. So yeah.
Yeah, the thing is like you got to give some the benefit of the doubt. Like Postecoglou's system is just a mess. Like there was just so much running back and forth. Like it's just useless for like Son if he could be in a system where they just save his energy. It's similar to what Salah is getting right now, where you can sort of save Salah's energy and use him in the attack where he can be very lethal. But yeah, I don't know. I understand what you're saying. I think for him to be a good pick for people to consider 8.5 or 8 is probably fair.
Yeah, 100%. And the one thing I will say with Foden is it is a World Cup year, so he is one of the players I look at in terms of Tuchel that he really does need to make an impact on Tuchel's decision making next season because he could find himself out of the World Cup squad very quickly, or at least out of the starting 11. What do you boys want to move into? Defenders, mids, or forwards? We'll let Meerkat choose as the guest.
Defenders.
Oh, I knew he was gonna say that. Okay, here we go. So we have a bunch of the premium guys. We also have a new Liverpool rat that we have evaluated in Jeremy Frimpong. Unfortunately, we've all gone 6 million for him. And this is what I mean by the great inflation. You can see a lot of the prices here. Look at Gabriel and Van Dijk. Me and Meerkat have priced him up. We're expecting a lot of the assets who were valuable, especially defenders, because Trent Alexander-Arnold has gone. you would expect a lot of defenders to be priced up. Do you guys agree with that?
I was going to say, can I ask Kanji an immediate question? So do you not think you don't
Yeah,
think there's going to be a single defender above 6 million?
nah, bro. There's no. I look at it like this. Like a lot of the difference in points from premium defender to like mid-price 4.5 or 5.0 defender isn't that big. But the difference between like Salah and Saka or Salah and Palmer was just massive. So if I want to spend extra money, I'm putting it in the attack. Like the BPS is favoring all the attackers. The defender's not getting much BPS anyway. They're just getting their 4 points from the clean sheet or maybe their goal from a header. So like why price them up more? If they do that, I would just avoid all of these guys, like myself. That's why I haven't priced it up as high as you guys.
Mm. I disagree with that. I think because Trent has gone, I think they'll be a little bit more encouraged to price defenders up. I think also we have like Munoz had a great year. We don't have this guy on here. Milenkovic had a great year. So I think that they will price a lot of the teams who did well defensively, did good points. Munoz, Nottingham Forest, Palace, those guys will be priced up. I think even Van Dijk could get a small rise, maybe. And I see Meerkat, you agree with that too, don't you?
Yeah, with Van Dijk, yeah, I think 6.5. The reason why I think he'll be the most expensive Liverpool defender is he's just the one which you can expect 38 starts from in a season, and I just don't think you can say that with any confidence about any of the other defenders. And that's kind of how I think that kind of stuff plays a big part into the pricing, especially for defenders where attacking returns are going to be lower. I think pricing a centre back who's going to start every single game no matter what has to be more expensive than someone with extreme attacking output, but is just not nailed in the slightest.
Yeah, and I said this last pod. I do expect Guehi to join once that Diamande to Palace move is confirmed. In that case, I think Slot also now, if Konate stays, if Konate goes, you're going to get another centre back, surely. But if
Mhm.
Konate stays, you bring in Guehi, that also enables Slot to be able to play a back three whenever he wants, right? Because then you'll have three great centre backs. Guehi is a back three centre back. Frimpong is a wing back as well in a back five. So I think it gives Slot different ways to play. And I think that also makes your defense a lot stronger. So I hate to say it, but I am interested in the likes of Frimpong and Kirkes. And interestingly, you both have them at 6 mil. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that just makes sense because like you're buying into the team that just won the Premier League. Rotation risk should be, still apparent. It's not going to be at the level that a Man City defender will have, but I just still think they're gonna be game-breaking players. Like, if you price them at 5.5, it's too cheap. If anything, for Frimpong, given that he has 40 GA in his last 3 seasons in the league, I think he should be priced at 6.5, if anything. But I think Kirk at 6. It's just he had 8 GA last season for Bournemouth with 9 clean sheets. I think he can easily replicate that at Liverpool given the right minutes. So I think 6.0 is fair value for them. And if they're the same price as Van Dijk, that is where the discussion will be. Like, I don't think you need to price them lower. It's like, Frimpong and Kirkus probably have higher upside, so pricing them the same kind of makes sense for me.
Yeah. I can I ask you, Meerkat? I see for Lewis Skelly, you've gone 6 million.
yes,
What's the
yes,
thinking behind that?
because I think he'll be nailed in that Arsenal defense or near nailed. And yeah, I think 5.5, he's just in everyone's team because I think he'll be a regular starter. And if if pricing Gabriel, I mean, I've priced Gabriel at 6.5. Saliba probably comes in at 6.5. The right back is between Timber and Ben White. I think Timber deserves that price tag as well at 6. I think they all have to be expensive because I just don't think you can allow one of them to be cheaper because I think they're just by far the best defense in the league. And then if one of them's a million cheaper than the rest, they just become the automatic pick. Same thing with Raya as well. I think Raya will be 6 million. I don't think that any of that back four from or back five from Arsenal will be below 6.
6 mil, Raya. Holy shit. That is
Yeah,
Because
no
crazy.
chance.
if he's 5.5 and Gabriel's 6.5, why bother going Gabriel?
That's fair. That is fair. I mean, that's crazy. A 6 mil goalie. There must have been one, right? There has to.
Yeah, so there hasn't been for about 4 seasons. They made the switch. The premiums all used to be 6 million, then they just made them all 5.5 instead. But I think Raya has to be 6 million, and I think he'll be the only 6 million goalkeeper as well because I think he's
That's
just a
fair.
stand out better than the rest.
Is there?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the thing is, it's different because goalies they get the bonus saves and clean sheet, but the thing is, Raya doesn't really get many saves, even though he has the highest access to clean sheets. That's the thing. So he usually probably has, I don't know, lower end of the bonus. Maybe he will have some bonus because like he's keeping a lot of clean sheets, but I just feel like the most would usually go to Saliba or Gabrielle for like chances created or passing tiers, that sort of thing. But in general, I just don't like. Okay, I understand why you'd price Raya at 6, because like Allison is injury prone. Ederson actually has rotation risk, even though some fans don't admit it. I don't even like Ederson in net, anyways. So it's like I get why you'd price Raya higher, but I just think I would never go there at 6.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the point. That's kind of the point with inflating them all because it makes you have that decision. Otherwise, at 5.5, I think he's just so popular. If he's 5.5, no one has Allison, no one has Edison. Like they're just non-options.
and
I think he's at that point where you look at the 5.5 mil bracket and he's so much better than the rest. He has to be more expensive.
yeah, and if we move into just like what Meerkat was saying, now this is where really where you
Mm.
get to see why we're both thinking that there is big inflation coming. Look at some of these mid-table assets: the Antoine Semenyos, the Sharders, the Enzos, the Alangas, all of them rising in price. These mid-table teams, we're expecting their assets to rise. We're also expecting our best premium to rise, and therefore there's going to be less money to spend for more expensive assets, which is why we're expecting big inflation next season. Is there anything that stands out to you here, Conch?
Yeah, I think Odegaard, pricing him at 8.5. I think I was one that still has him priced high at 8.5. I think, like upon reflection, I think I should put him down to 8. Like I'd rather own Bruno with pens at 8.5 rather than Odegaard without them.
Hmm.
So I think that's something I think I would change. But Bowen, I'm interested to hear like why you guys are only pricing him at 8, given how talismanic and how consistent he's been for the last few years.
Well, I did price him at 7.5 just because not on
Yeah,
the
I've got him at
pens.
8.
But yeah, Meerkat's got him at 8. I think 8.5 is just a little too much for him. I think 8 million's perfect just where his current set piece share is. But he's a great talisman. I think 7.5 is fair, man. It's fair. It's like, think about Madison, what he can do last season. I've also got Madison at 7.5. I do see them in kind of the same realm. So yeah, I think 7.5 is okay, but 8 million is probably likelier.
The one thing that's sticking out to me, and it's to you again, Kanji, Eze being cheaper than Clivert.
Yeah, so okay, I value pens, I think, higher than you guys, and I want them to price the pens appropriately. Otherwise, I would just go for the pens because Eze has like a 50% chance of pen share, whereas Clavert's like a 100% chance of pen share. Though Eze's minutes would probably be better, but then I'm factoring in also that he'll be in Europa League, so those minutes could be closer to Clavert's than people really anticipate. So yeah, I think like it's the similar thing to why I want to keep Isak low at 10. It's same with Eze, where I don't really trust their minutes in the Premier League next season.
Hmm. Interesting. I don't mind that Meerkat, you know. I think Clivert, if he stays, he's on pen, 7.5 is okay.
Just so much. It's so much. I like having him that much more expensive than Semenyo.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just don't.
I
I
think that
really don't. I
1.0 is
really don't think he's done. Like Eze has been such an elite, consistent asset, and I think just putting Clivert immediately above him, I don't think he's warranted enough to do that historically. I don't. I think sevens fair for him. I think 7.5 is just a
yeah,
little
I
too
think
much.
that's fair. I just want to caveat that with like Claver's my favorite differential, by the way. I'm pricing him high for a reason. I'm high on him specifically. I mean, maybe that's just a me problem, but I look at it like Bournemouth had the fourth most XG in the league last year. The coach is staying the same. Yes, the defense is changing, but maybe the only player that could move is Semenyo. I did see a link. I think Benji shared it. I think Claver's linked with a move away as well potentially. But
Yeah.
yeah, I want to price him higher for a reason. Like I'm high on him.
These prices are insane. Like, think about what we were pricing the premiums as. Like, the guys that we owned last year, I mean, it's ridiculous. 7.5, 6.5 for Semenya. There's not gonna be much money to spend. There's serious inflation coming. Like, and
Can I ask about Trossard and Martinelli? Sorry, just to kind of jump in. Trossard Martinelli, because you've both priced them at the same.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've put Trossard slightly higher just because his output was so much higher than Martinelli last season,
yeah.
like way higher. And I don't think they can be the same price just based on that. I mean, Trossard was literally their highest scoring player Arsenal's highest scoring player last season.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Wow. Damn, that's crazy. That makes sense. That's fair. I agree with that.
Mm.
I agree with that,
But
but I also
again,
think
I don't know.
Martinelli
I don't know if he's even an
minutes.
asset we'll look at, but yeah.
My only thing with
No, 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 no.
Martinelli and Trossard is just Martinelli usually gets more starts. So yeah, that's why. And
Yeah.
Trossard's output's better, but Martinelli minutes better. That's therefore they're kind of on the same level for me. But you're probably right in terms of output. Um, definitely Trossard should be a slightly
Like
bit higher.
Trossard he's like in the same mold as like Diego Jota, where it's like when they have the minutes, they're
Mm.
good picks because they're usually like central like to the team getting like the high XG chances. But I don't know. The dynamic might change when the new striker comes in. Because Havertz was not really like a, in the box main goal threat. I'm the talisman of the team. But maybe if they sign a new striker, that guy will be, and that could take away from the positions Trossard likes to get himself into. So anyway, I think 6.5 is still fair. I can understand why you'd want to price him higher than Martinelli because I don't know where he's been the last few
Yo,
years.
Kanji, look at Meerkat's price for Bumo.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Damn,
mean,
eh?
coming off the back of a historic season, second highest scorer in the game. This is obviously, of course, if he stays at Brentford, which is looking
Oh,
like it's not going to happen. I don't. It's so difficult to call with Man United. I don't think anyone really knows what exactly is going to happen there. Yeah, I've got him a whole million more than Fernandez, which I mean, we're going to assume that Fernandez probably still has the penalties anyway. I mean, if they sign Mbumo, Cunha, and Fernandez, I'm just feeling surely that means Fernandez is playing a lot deeper
he is.
because surely it's going to be Bumo and Cunha as the tens. The Man United assets, I've had a real hard time pricing because I think they're just all over the shop. I think Acuna as well is an interesting one in terms of what price he comes in at because like all three of them, one of them I think could become amazing. Uh, but again, what do you price them all at? Given that we're talking about Man United here, that finished 15th, I think, in the season.
We
Like
get
having
it.
three assets at that price for a team that finished that low, I don't know.
Yeah, but you got a price. I
Mm.
mean, look, this is what I keep saying. We are, in my opinion, the strongest team without Europe next season. I truly believe that. And if you look at the patterns, teams who are in Europe, the injury rate is higher. And I do think that's a factor. Our December Jan fixtures are quite good as well. But in terms of Bumo, 9 million at Brentford, I 100% agree with you. And with Bruno, he will be playing deeper. There's no doubt about that. If you look at Amarim's lineups across the last 6 months, he's been playing in the pivot. He's not been playing in the tens. So I think Bruno is on for, in terms of goal threat regression. I sent that thing to the group chat a few weeks back. He had 2 open play goals in the league. That's
Wait,
shocking.
what?
That's shocking.
That's
Yeah.
insane. Wow. That's insane.
Like
Wow.
Mado, Palmer, Wirtz in the German league all had six plus. So
Wow.
he's
Two open play
he's playing
goals.
too deep,
Nah,
bro.
that's mad. That's insane. I think a lot of his goals came from outside the box, right?
Yeah, yeah. Outside the box or a pen,
Mm,
most of his goals.
Yeah,
wow.
it makes sense. I was just looking at Cunha's data right here. We've got 8.5 XG and 15 goals. That's an insane overperformance. I'm not saying that that's
Yeah.
sustainable. Like I don't know how good he is. He's 25 years old. But he has another year, the year before, of 9.5 XG and 12 goals. So it's 2 years of overperformance. Kind of reminds me of like Foden's data when I look at it. So I think Cunha could be the one. And when you consider that Bruno's playing deeper, though he'll have, pens and nailed minutes, and Bumo is
Mm,
probably going to be playing a little bit wider, I'd assume. Cunha is going to be the one that stays central. So I'm interested to actually find out his price. If they
Yeah.
price him at 7.5,
mm,
even though there's rotation risk, I'm actually more likely, or even 8, I'm actually more likely to go there than I would like a Man City mid, just because of the fact they only play once
mm.
a week in the Prem.
And I
I'm going to avoid. I'm going to avoid all of them. All the Man City mids, all the Man United the start because I mean Man United also have the toughest fixtures to start off as well, which
yeah.
is quite ideal given that I'm going to hard steer away from all of them because I just there's
What
so
I
much uncertainty.
what I would say is that I do agree with Kanji about Cunha. I mean, he was a player in the league last season who averaged the most distance by walking. So in terms of he will be staying kind of
True.
up there. He's not going to have much defensive role, whereas that's will be different with Bumo. And Bumo, when do you want to own a United player? When we don't have AFCON. when we don't have the congested fixtures December January period, that's when you want to own us. Our fixtures are decent during that time as well, and during that time, Boomo will be going to AFCON as well. So I think Cunha is the one if you're going to pick one. Talk to me about Wirtz, you Liverpool boys.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I mean, I don't think he should be priced at like 10.5 or anything like that when you've got Saka and Palmer. Okay, if you go back like my slide for Saka, my prices are and Palmer is like 10.0. I know you guys went for 10.5, so maybe you're a little bit higher on them. But if I'm pricing them at 10.0, I don't think Bird should come in higher, even though he's going to break a lot of the records in terms of transfer fees. And I know he's going to be playing with one of the best players of all time. I just think without, I don't know, a large share of set pieces, maybe he'll be on corners, maybe he'll be on free kicks. We don't know yet. But McAllister can definitely take some. Sabazai can take some as well. So I'm just not sure what his set piece share is going to be or his X minutes as well. So I think 9.5 is fair, given that he has, I think he's the only player alongside Salah to have double digit goals and assists in back to back seasons in their league. But I think 9.5 is fair. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm now thinking, like, I feel like 9.5 is fair for Verts, but now I'm thinking, wow, he's really I've really put him 5.5 mil cheaper than Salah. Like, I really, uh, it's difficult to tell because Salah was literally the most talismanic player in the entire league last season, and Verts is coming into this side. We're not even 100% sure where he's going to play in this system at the moment. We know he's going to get the minutes, so he has to be expensive. He has to be that second most expensive Liverpool asset, but it's so difficult because his output in terms of like what we'd want from FPL, right? He was good in UCL Fantasy, like really good in UCL Fantasy, but in terms of the output for FPL, I just don't know if it will be there. I don't know whether he'll be feeding the other players a lot more. I don't know whether he'll be getting into goal scoring positions a lot. I feel like his role is going to be quite similar to what Firmino's was when we had Mane and
Ah,
Salah in the team, and that Salah is playing that Salah role like he always did, and then that Mane role will probably be filled by someone like Gakpo. So yeah, that's if we don't get a striker. I mean, if we don't get a striker, then everything changes. But it's yeah, Verts is yeah, he's going to be a popular pick game week 1, I think, with that price. I'm definitely going to be avoiding him, but he could be one of those ones I bring in very quickly.
yeah, and like to just add to this discussion, it's like we've got Diaz all priced at 8 and Gakpo all priced at 7.5. So, there's going to be a fixture run where Liverpool have good fixtures around game week 12 to 17 or game week 12 to game week 20. There's a good fixture run for Liverpool. Maybe if we want a differential, we could consider Luis Diaz or Gakpo still. Like I'm assuming they'll still be on the menu in the left wing spot, right?
Yeah, yeah, it really just depends who we sell and who we buy, really. Are we going to move? If we're going to move on to the next bit, I just wanted to ask you guys, who do you think out of this whole sheet, who's your best value player? Who would be the best value player on this whole sheet?
Well, if I'm going by Kanji's price, it's Madison, that's for sure. 6.4,
Yeah,
that's
talk
too
to me.
cheap.
Talk to me about Madison. What do you think about Madison next year?
I think
I'm high on him.
Madison. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. Mr.
I think
6.5, bro. Crazy.
Madison's known for being an XGI overperformer, where like he actually gets like let's say 12 XG and ends with like 18 returns. Like he's known for this. Him and Son are like known for this, but X minutes, I mean, they're going to be in the Champions League, injury prone. I don't know if the 10 in the system is going to be that great for like goal threat and assist threat. A lot of like the goals and assists in Frank's system came from the wingers in Bumo and Wissa. Like those were the two main talisman of the team. Damsgaard did get, I think, 2 goals and 10 assists, and he's not as great as a finisher as Madison is. But it's just, I don't know. I think there'll be a lot of rotation, and I just don't know if I'll own him for a sustained period. And I'd rather go for a differential like Brennan Johnson on the wing instead of him. If I'm pricing, and if I think Johnson's getting like the same amount of minutes, I think he'll probably pick up more XG. So I'd rather be on Johnson ahead of him. Yeah.
For me, I like Mado, but then again, it's just does he fit Frank's system? From what I've seen, people are saying, well, Kulusevski, he fits that 10 role more. If you look at Damsgaard's good because he can play centrally, but also he's good at shifting into wide areas and putting crosses in. Mado's very good centrally, and he's decent centrally, but he's also very good in wide areas. So I think kind of Kulusevski fits that Damsgaard role a little bit more. So it depends, but if Matto's starting centrally, I really like him. The other one that I would say, if Antoine Semenyo does stay at Bournemouth, I will be interested because I feel like a lot of people thought he was a troll pick. He was a little bit, all the points came in the hard fixtures, but he did get quite unlucky this year. I think he was the player to hit the post the most amount of times, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
I do like Semenyo. What about for you, Meerkat?
For me, I think it's got to be Kevin Sade. I think that if Bumo leaves, I think that that could be a really interesting pick, especially if Brentford don't sign. Like they're going to be looking for a Bumo replacement, right? They're not going to be looking for another attacker to fill in Sade's position. And he's a kind of player that, on the eye, he's not amazing. He's not an amazing player, but as we've seen it throughout the season, his explosivity to get returns has been crazy. At times, he's been basically playing as another striker, as alongside Visser. Bumo was playing a lot wider and a lot further back. And I mean, yeah, he's one of the few players in the league who scored a hat trick. You know, like his output is there in terms of the returns. And at 6 million, I think we're going to be hard pressed to find a better value pick at that price point. He might even come in at 6.5, but if he comes in at 6, I think a lot of people will be looking at him.
Yeah, and he will take
Yeah,
up
I mean,
that role, right? He'll take up a bit of the output because Bumo's leaving.
well, the output's definitely going to decrease. You're going from like
Yeah.
he honestly think Thomas Frank is one of the most underrated managers in the league. Like it's just he takes players that aren't that good, similar to what Jurgen Klopp used to do. Takes like mid-table players and makes them just better.
Wait,
Like the
can I
system,
stop you?
it
Why do
like
you
brings
have
out
to
the
why do you have
best.
to shit on Sade every time, bro? I swear you
No,
don't
no,
rate him.
I'm
Just say
not.
you don't rate him, bro.
No, no,
It's
no. Look,
fine.
look, no, no, look. The data is excellent. 8 xG, 11 goals. That's excellent. But it's just look at the macro factors like new coach. I don't know what their system's going to be, but I think the key is when you watch him, he doesn't pass my eye test, but he likes to become that second striker. Like he likes to
Oh.
be the main man. And like even when I captain Bumo in those weeks, I'd be sitting there like, man, Shade is the one that's actually getting into better positions than Bumo is. But Bumo has all the set
Mm.
pieces and everything. So you add that together, it's like, wow. And at 6.0, he'll definitely be a good value pick.
Yeah.
Similar to like Semenyo, but it's going to be down to X minutes. Do you write the system the coach is using, like the new coach and all that? So,
Look, I rate your eye
but
test, but you need to get your eyes checked for that
there's
one.
a
He does pass the eye test, bro. But anyway, look, I just want to say a comment. We have FPL Yellow Army, Hollis is that's in evening, Kanji, Meerkat, Benji, and I also saw Ollie said Rogers 6.5 is way too cheap. We haven't spoken about him, and we also had Killua say Enzo at 6 is good value. What do you think about Rogers? We haven't discussed him actually.
Yeah, because I've put him at 7. I think that he needs that. Obviously, he needs that massive price hike coming in at 5 million last season. I mean, what a joke! We all identified it at the start of the season anyway. Like ridiculous, they priced him at 5. I think 7. I do think 6.5 is too cheap because I think when you look at the Villa players, when you look at the rest of them, I think he has to be more expensive than the other midfielders because he's definitively the best one. He's nailed for minutes as well. Let's remember he's nailed in a Villa side who are very good at attacking. I think at 6.5 he just becomes default the best one. Like I think he should be on this tier as I've put him with Cliver and Madison. I think putting him that much cheaper than him makes him absolute go-to. And then if he's at 6.5, then that means the rest of the Villa mids have all got to be 6, 5.5. I just think that the output of Rogers is crazy, and again, like the minutes are
Yeah.
extremely good. I think he was one of the best in terms of like attacking midfielders. It might have
yeah.
been like I think only Bumo maybe might have been higher than him. Like genuinely, his minutes were just crazy good.
And the one thing I would say about Rogers is if you think back to last season, when they were in the Champions League, he scored a hat trick in the Champions League. Got a lot of GA in
Yeah.
the Champions League. He's not going to care about Europa League until quarterfinals, semifinals. And when the odds come out, you'll see Aston Villa will be, if not the favourites, at least top 3 favourites for Europa League because the competition's not strong. Teams are not dropping out in from the Champions League into the Europa League anymore. So I think Rogers,
Mm.
I do agree with Meerkat. I think probably me and Kanji slightly underpriced him at 6.5. He definitely deserves that 7 mil tier. 100%.
Is he on set pieces for Villa?
No.
No, he
Yeah,
doesn't have any of
that's
that.
why he's 6.5 for me. But like there is so much room for this to grow. Like we mentioned earlier about like Watkins not even, I don't know if the coach doesn't trust him to take the pens or what it is, But eventually, I think Watkins is like the top goal scorer for Aston Villa, but I think he's 29, getting to 30 at this point. He might start like, they might even sell him at some point, and Rodgers could be like the main talisman for Villa. Could potentially pick up some set piece share, could pick up some pen share soon. So he'll definitely be one to watch. Definitely.
FPL Bateman says Rogers had 0.19 xg per 90. Interesting. We're going to move into the forwards now. Our last section, guys. All the premium forwards, we did it earlier if you are just here. We actually, let me have a look at here. Not too much discrepancy between our prices. Although Evan Nilsson at 7, Meerkat, that might be a little fraudulent one there. Not sure. Not sure about Evan Nilsson. Seven's a lot. Seven's a lot.
Hang on. So who put Clive at 7.5?
Kanji.
7.5. So you think Cliver is a million more just because he takes penalties, even though he's more of a minutes risk than the two of them?
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
Like, I think I think what I found is that we overvalue penalties far too much. Like I understand that it is a bonus, especially bonus, but right, Cunha, for example, 0 penalties. He didn't have a single penalty. He is the penalty taker, but he didn't get a single penalty. Realistically, I don't think players get that many penalties over an entire season. And so I think Emma Nielsen, it's a difficult one because I kind of made this prediction before all the stuff happened at Bournemouth where they were selling their players. I do think he deserves to be at that price bracket though. I think he's a very, very solid option.
I think Kanji got this one right.
He'll be one to turn to.
I think Kanji got this one right, 6.5. I think he's that's spot on. I think I've gone too low. Like you were saying, just mentioning the gap between him and the other Bournemouth attackers, 6 mil is too low. He needs to be 6.5. Definitely.
Yeah. I honestly think Meerkat has it better than me. I think 7.0 is even better.
I'm interested in hearing about. So I've been fairly safe looking at these predictions because I've put a lot of them in the 7.5 mil bracket because I think they're all very similar assets in terms of what they are. Also, we do think that Cunha will be reclassified as well as a midfielder. But Solanke, as you can see, you two have priced him at 8, so you're just a little bit above. I can't help but feel that's a little bit of just your excitement about the player being better this season. Oh wait, we're doing it on how much we think they should be worth. Yeah, so I don't think he will come in at 8 million. So that means you'll probably both want him because I think he'll be cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've priced him with the potential of picking up the talisman for pens. Like I keep saying this, last season it was like nobody cared about the Spurs talisman, Spurs premium. Usually in previous seasons we were looking at even at that for captaincy, right? And I think, with the new manager, with the money from the Champions League, and if I was Frank, I would let Son go. Like, he did not look at it last year. I do not expect him to make a drastic recovery, and I think Solanke, we've already seen him take pens. He's the most expensive signing in Tottenham's history. And if you look at that, it's a World Cup year. He'll be pushing with Watkins for that number 2 spot. I really like his chances.
We seem to be in quite a disagreement as well about Delap and Jackson because I've put them at the same price, but both of you have actually priced Jackson higher than Delap. I'm interested to hear about that.
Yeah, the thing with Delap is that, I understand he's a good player. I mean, Kanji thinks that he's actually a better striker than Solanke, which I disagree with. But I just think Jackson's still going to get more minutes. I still think Jackson's first choice as of now, and that's why I've priced him a bit higher. Delap is young. Like, I understand he's a good player. He's a good talent. I think he's definitely a great signing, but I don't think he's the first choice. Nowhere near.
Yeah, it's complicated, bro. And I think because if you look at Solanke, it's like that's like nailed minutes. I think he should be playing like 85, 80 minutes every single game on pens potentially for Spurs. So that's why I priced him higher. Even though, like as Benji said, like we've had discussions offline, or like I genuinely think Delap is like better than Solanke. Because if you look at Solanke's finishing data over the past few seasons, it's 9 xg 6 goals, 19 xg 19 goals, 11 xg 9 goals. So Solanke has a history of underperforming his xg, whereas Delap is the opposite. He only has 1 season in the Prem. He had 9 xg and 12 goals. Now, of course, that does include some penalties, and there is that factored in, but I just watched the lap and like he's just so class. Very
Yeah,
cultured. I know that's an eye test thing, but I don't know. I just think he has a lot of potential. And if he ends up getting the starting place for Chelsea, I just think that's the thing. You have to be very careful. Like if you price him at 7.5, I think Meerkat probably did it the best way. Like if you price them the same, I think if you price Delap and Jackson the same at 7.5, whoever gets the starting spot, you can just pick that player. I
yeah.
wasn't sure how to price it, that's why.
It's so difficult because I think there are so many maybes. There are so many maybes and so many like variables in this. I think the only one I would comfortably was like yes, 7.5 was Mateta because I think he was 7.5 and I think he performed as well as we all thought he would. So I was pretty safe on that. The rest, like Visser, what's going to happen when Bumo leaves? It's a different manager now. What's going to happen there? Cunha, different club, reclassified as a midfielder. Is that going to make him better or worse? Chris Wood, insane overperformer. Is he going to be able to replicate that again? Delap, new club, again, difficult to like. It's so difficult to quantify a lot of these, and I think looking at these prices, all this is screaming out to me is that Isak is going to be incredibly popular, and I think three forwards with two of these guys is also going to be really popular
Interesting.
Wait, how did you get to that conclusion that Isak's gonna be popular?
because of the prices. Because I don't see anyone going for Haaland when he's so much more expensive than Isak, and I don't think having Haaland, like if you have Haaland, I don't think there's any chance you're having Isak as well.
Hmm.
So if you have Haaland and two of these players, I think the rest of your team's I think people are going to start making a team of Haaland and then go, wow, I can save 3 million or whatever by going to Isak instead, and then I can upgrade a midfielder because I think teams are going to be hard to make because I think the average price of a player is going to be a lot higher.
Yes, exactly. The great inflation. I'm just gonna read a few comments here. Kilowa says Benji 5.5 for Strand Lawson in 2025. Double question mark. Yeah, it's a bit low. Bateman said if Solanke's 8 mil, I'll eat my hat. He has 41 Premier League goals from 161 games. Yeah, it's not a good performance, but look, the thing with Frank is he is a coach who can improve his players, and all strikers that he has had under his belt have done well, and I expect that trend to continue with Solanke as well. Benji has put everyone on pre-Wall Street crash prices. Oh man. And Ollie, final comment: 6.5 is too much for Raul due to Muniz. Muniz was 6 million last year. What do you think about Raul?
I'm assuming that Meniz leaves.
Okay.
Is it with that
Ooh.
with that price prediction? I assume he becomes the starting strike. Yeah, it's. I mean, I think we just all like if Meniz stays, I think we just all avoid them anyway because it's just
It's
like they
Fulham,
have
right?
two strikers who are very similar ability. In fact, actually, we haven't. I think they're the only Fulham players we've mentioned, right? I don't think we've mentioned a single other Fulham player.
No,
So
nobody
I
cares
think
about Fulham.
they're ones that I don't think is on anyone's radar at all. It'll be interesting to see how they perform because I think they are so middle of the pack. Like they're not definitively like we're not excited about them, but also we're not writing them off.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
And I
Yeah.
100% agree with that. And the thing with Fulham, I don't know if you agree with this, Conj. If you look at the teams, non-European teams who don't have Europe next season, Palace probably getting weaker, Bournemouth probably getting weaker, Brentford definitely getting weaker. So that just leaves
Mm.
Fulham right there, right? They're not getting weaker because
Mm.
who's going for their players? They're all mid, right? But their mid
Yeah.
players, sorry, Ollie, sorry, but all of their players can push that level, and I do think that Meerkat's 100% right. Nobody's talking about Fulham.
Yeah. Like, we actually haven't even included anyone from Brighton as well, with João Pedro leaving, Danny Welbeck, the
Mhm.
30-plus-year-old man could be the man on pens at 5.5. Could be a pick. But yeah,
Brighton
I
need a
think it's
Brighton need a talisman before I start considering them. Just so much random benching.
You know what,
Honestly, it's
Meerkat? You know what I've
a
learned?
nightmare.
I said this a few days ago to Kanji. Hertzeller, he's actually one of those coaches you can't trust because he's one of
Yeah.
those coaches in the
Mm.
press conference. If there's an issue, he says nothing, and then you find out when the lineup's out, like we did against Forest when they lost 7-0, right? Like
Yeah.
he's not transparent, and I don't like that from an investment point of view because I can't trust what he's saying. He just leaves out big
yeah, basically,
details.
like yeah, all of his picks are, like, non-options, basically, because, like, he has, I'd say, like, 3 standout players with, like, Mitoma, João Pedro. And like I don't know, like probably some sort of defender. There's probably
Hinshelwood for some
two.
reason. Hinshelwood scored about like 6 goals or something. It was crazy.
But realistically, like from an FPL perspective, it was like JP or Matoma, right? And
Yeah.
even they weren't even nailed to play 38 games when they had no European football, which is crazy.
Oh
Like
my God.
Matoma was missing games all the time. Same with JP.
We have big news. Chelsea have reached an agreement with Brighton to sign João Pedro.
Nah,
David
there's no
Wow.
way,
Ornstein
bro.
Bomber.
So hang on. So we've got Delap, Jackson, Palmer, Enzo, Madueke, Neto, uh it's no, Sancho's gone. Gittins, uh and now João Pedro.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
just avoid Chelsea players basically, because apart from Enzo, maybe. I think Enzo's going to get good minutes, but yeah, God, that sounds like a rotation
Mm.
nightmare.
I
They're going
can't
to become
believe
the
it.
new Man
Yeah.
City.
But they need players. I don't think it's necessarily a bad signing. I would expect João Pedro to be able to cover for the 9, probably be the backup for
Yeah,
Palmer.
where does he play though? Right,
10,
because he's not
10, I'd say.
what, and then does Palmer not play 10, or is
Well,
he just
it's
a
just
backup?
he's probably a backup or they rotate or they compete for the spot. And I think Palmer needs competition. He cannot be in this unlocked level. He's not been playing like that. Like he's not been playing like he's
Ooh,
It's a fair point.
he needs competition.
shots fired. Shots fired.
Hmm.
Shots fired. I mean, JP
Well,
won't be getting many minutes. I'm surprised he went to a team where he's not going to get nailed minutes. That's just shocking.
That's big news though because Brighton Pens are on the move. On the move.
Mm,
Very
facts.
wow.
interesting.
Oh man.
The final thing I want to say is there any interest in the Mr. Chris Wood 7.5? All got him at 7.5. No takers?
I loved Chris Wood for times of the season, even though he was one of the players who there's always one every season, which I'm like, I don't really trust this guy, but he seems to be doing well, so I'll put him in. And then he did really well, so I was really happy about it. And watching people complain about how he was overperforming, it just always happens at some point. Although the other one was Jacob Murphy, and I never got him in, so I suffered the consequence of that one. I think he's going to get a massive price hike, and I don't see it. I don't see him having the same level of output. I'm happy to be proven wrong, and I think the nice thing about these price points, or at least what I think will happen, is that it'll be quite easy to switch to him. But I think come game week 1, then I'll be considering the Forest defense and then maybe Gibbs White, but outside of that, no,
Yeah.
not for me.
Conch?
I mean, the fixtures are amazing. West Ham, Brentford, Burnley, Sunderland. I mean, why not start there and see how it goes? I mean, like Milenkovic, Alenga, Gibbs White, Wood, they'll all be on the menu come game week 1. It just depends on your horizon.
I don't like Forest. I think back in the season we saw them kind of get found out a little bit. I think Nuno is very one-dimensional in the style that he plays, and he doesn't really stray away from that. I do not want to invest in their attackers. I'd rather invest in their defense, get the cleans, and just move on.
You know what? That's a really good point. I think you saw that from a lot of the game. I mean, Liverpool saw it firsthand, right? When they beat us, they had a plan and they stuck to it and it worked. But I think you're spot on there. I think when the plan doesn't work, they get rolled over.
There's no
Like
answer.
we saw against, was it Brighton? They lost 5-0, right? They got, was it 7-0? There was some crazy result, wasn't
Bournemouth.
there, over the season?
Yeah.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, was it against Forest?
No, it was Bournemouth v Forest. Forest lost 5-0.
Yeah,
Yeah,
5-0.
you were
Yeah.
talking about a game where Forest beat Brighton 5 or 7-0. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it was yeah, swapped around.
Yeah. No, I 100%
yeah.
disagree with that. I'm interested in the defenders though. Your boy, guys, if you don't know Kanji, he loves this new Wolves guy, Strand Larson. Big fan. 6.5, yeah? You're basically
Yeah, I think
saying
that's fair.
you're basically saying that you're gonna own him. You're basically saying that he's gonna be good value. He's not gonna be 6.5, bro. So you're gonna own him, yeah?
I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, Cunha came in at what? Like I think Cunha had 15 goals. I think Sean Larson could do that, honestly,
Oh,
on
I
pens,
think
potentially.
Cunha is a lot better. And also, I think if you look at the league now, Wolves have to be one of the lowest rated teams in the league. Like, I don't think you can have their
Yeah.
striker at 6.5 for one of the lowest rated teams in the league now. I think it's just
Well,
too
that's
much.
the thing. Like, if even his team is bad, but if he scores goals, he's chilling. Like, he had 14 goals last year, 145 FPL points. Like, is that repeatable? Yeah. and now he'll be picking up the pens. So they need to replace the creativity of Cunha, obviously. And I don't know if he's completely nailed, but I think he can definitely get that again. 14. He had 14 goals already. Like that's the thing. It's more than like half of the names on this list. So yeah, I'm high on him, and the fixtures are really good to start the season. I think they play all three of the newly promoted sides in the first 10. So he'll definitely be somebody to consider, especially if you want to go with a solid draft and you're looking to have like a cheap striker and premiums in the midfield.
And can I just ask, you priced that 6.5 with the assumption of pens, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And then it's the same with like Wissa and Mateta. Like, okay, you have to understand everybody's made their prices according to the way that they think. Like I'm like for example, Cunha at 7.5. That is the one he could easily be 8.5 in my mind. After like a few weeks' time, there's just uncertainty. Same with Wissa. Like Wissa could be 7.5 or 8 in my mind. It just depends if Bumo stays, is he on the pens? Do I like the system the coach is in? Mateta, I'm just lower on. Solanke, I'm higher on. Jackson, I don't know what to price him, so I just kept him the same. And then Raul and Strand Larson and even Nielsen, I kind of put them in the same bucket. I'm like, all right, these guys I think are going to be good picks. They're like the main men for their teams. And like it's just going to be about like fixtures rotation X minutes with them.
I see. 100%. And that is all our content. We will be taking questions for a few minutes if you guys want to drop something in the chat. Yeah, it was great to have you on, Meerkat. I don't know if you saw episode 1. So our idea, we'd love to have you on during the season for your expertise, and you'll get to make at least one decision. Just don't sabotage us, please.
Yes, yeah. Pick a week when like the right wingers look good.
Yeah,
and I can talk about them.
the right wingers, huh?
Yo, this
Yeah.
guy loved targeting that right wing versus Southampton.
Well, that
bro.
was a crazy thing during the season. You know, I started watching FPL videos and people talking about the right wingers are good against Southampton. What the hell? That's me. I started that, and now everyone's saying it. Like,
Yeah.
it was just a really funny thing to see.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. Go check out Meerkat and Kanji. Their Twitter links are in the video description. Meerkat's got some great content. We had a phenomenal episode, guys. Lawson got 13 goals last year. That's not bad, you know.
Yeah,
it's not bad, Meerkat. It's not.
I just expect Wolves to do a lot worse, I guess. But I mean, to be honest, it's fair enough because I think if I was going for a Wolves asset, it would be him. I think we're all talking about the fact that they've lost Cunha, right? They've also lost Aït-Nouri, and that's huge. Aït-Nouri was so much for their attack as well. I genuinely, I think Wolves will be in the relegation conversation. Like, I just don't see how they replace. That's their two best players. I think they've lost.
Oh wow.
So
yeah,
yeah,
I think
they
it's
need
cool to be
really
lower
recoil.
on. Yeah, it's cool to be lower on Wolves. Like in general, like Wolves and Brentford are teams that we should be lower on. And then of course the newly promoted sides. Like those would be the 5 teams like I'm happy to target them, captain against them on a weekly basis, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying this in one of the other podcasts. I don't know if you agree, but I think there's a real shortage of like good fixtures now. I think the mid-table teams are so good that genuinely, like you said, the promoted teams, Wolves. Outside of that, what
Brentford.
good fixtures are there? Brentford, if you're an attacker, yeah, I guess. And I mean, we'll see how they are offensively now, but like that's kind of it. Like, there's a lot. I think we're gonna
West Ham,
I
maybe.
think FPL, West Ham actually, I forgot about that one. I think FPL showed their like official FDR ticker, and there's loads of grey, and I kind of agree. There's like loads of like all right fixtures now.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's because like the likes of Bournemouth, Fulham, even Brentford last year, their home form's excellent. They're winning a lot of games at home. And it's tougher. That's why we saw so many mid-table assets in our price predictions. Price goes up, right? Because they all had such a good year. And that's why we're saying it's going to be the great inflation. I do think that Meerkat's spot on. There's a lot of grey fixtures. It's hard to really see a patch of games where it's just clear cut, apart from what Kanji was saying, right? I think what's the weeks, Kanji?
For which team?
City and Liverpool.
13 to 20.
Yeah, those weeks are really good. But yeah, it was a great episode. Thank you for coming on, Meerkat. I'm just gonna see if we have any final questions.
It was a pleasure.
We have one. Oh, it's about what do you think Hoyland will be priced? Oh my god, it's a troll question.
Hoyland.
Oh my god.
Is he staying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know.
His contract's till 2030. He's not going anywhere.
So they're going to have Hoyland, Xerxes, and a new striker.
Well, if we get a new striker, then maybe we'll sell Hoyland. But yeah, we will have a few options.
I think he'll have to be 7 again, right? Like, despite how terrible he's been.
No, he's got to be 5.5, 6 something. He can't be 7. He can't be on the Delap tier, right? Surely.
Well, I'm not saying he's on the tier. It's just he like starting striker for Man United. I mean, I don't care. I don't care about Hoyland's price.
Yeah, no, same here, same here. We have a question from Talk, and he just wanted to like see if we could discuss Forest start to the season, given that they have Conference League qualification after game week 1 and 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
they're gonna
Just
find it tough.
Forest start with the season with usual qualification. Yeah, they do. They have the playoff rounds. I don't think it'll be a big impact. Like they'll play their backup guys, few first team starters. I don't think it'll make much of an impact on Forest. But yeah, I'm not too sure that it'll be too hard for Forest. I think they have the team strength to go deep in that competition pretty easily, and they're gonna spend as well. They're looking at these guys from Botafogo, Igor Jesus, the striker. I think there's another one of the center backs, wing backs, something like that. So, but that's a good point that Talk raised. Bowen striker or a mid. I would put Bowen as a striker. I would do that because he started
Really?
quite a few games at striker this season under Graham Potter. I would actually change. What do you think, Kanji?
Uh, I always felt like he isn't really a good striker. He's elite coming off the wing, like he's elite in that position. But I honestly didn't watch enough of West Ham. I didn't own Bowen at all this year, so I shouldn't comment.
Oh, Irfan's
You know
asking
what?
about the
You're
game.
you're actually it'll be close because they're normally pretty good, right, in terms of starts. Like if a player starts in a certain position more than another, then they will reclassify. So Bowen in the league, he played 16 games up front and 18 on the right. So it's very close.
Didn't even realize it.
Bowen, bro. If Bowen's a striker, he's gonna get all the bonus. Actually, no. I prefer him as a
Wow.
mid, though. I prefer him as a mid.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I see Bowen in the same position I see Saka and Salah. Like, I don't really think Bowen should
Yeah.
be a
He
striker.
did start a lot of games. That was the point. And just a last question from
Mm.
Irfan. News about the game out. I think my predicted game day launch is after the Club World Cup final. I'm thinking July 14th to 17th. Any of those days in and around there. And I think price leaks, you know how they did last season, started releasing 1, 2, 3 few a day. I think that could even start as soon as next week. So keep your eyes out for that.
Yeah. How do you feel about like European football affecting Chelsea this year? Because last year they played in the Conference League, they basically played a backup team every week. So how do you think that'll impact Chelsea and as well as FPL?
I think it'll impact them a lot. I mean, you see the warning signs with Caicedo every week. It's
Mm.
ridiculous. Like he's on the verge. They lost last night. They just picked up Badia Shield. He pulled his hamstring. That just shows you the kind of the impact that Club World Cup will have. Chelsea are going to need a very, very deep squad next season. And there's a reason that I'm backing them to be the ones to fall out of the top 5 because none of their players are having any off season right now. And I think that they could struggle next season depending on how far they go. And I think they will get to the semi-finals of the Club World Cup.
Mm.
Anyways, thank you guys all for joining. It has been a great pod. No technical issues, which is great. Meerkat,
Yes.
Fantastic.
thank you for coming on, Meerkat. We really appreciate it. We will have you on one of the game weeks, and all we ask is that you don't sabotage us and make a good decision. Maybe change maybe change our captain or something nice. All right.